Hey guys, it's OCB Communications. Welcome back to another review, this time of the 1991 comedy Hot Shots, the mother of all movies, which I could watch. It's a time waster for me. I can enjoy it, but it's not really one of my favorite comedies. I think Hot Shots Part 2 is a lot better and a lot funnier. Hot Shots is it's just there for me. It's just a okay comedy. And I think it's a little bit overrated. I mean, it does have its moments, but I mean, it's got like a really, I mean, the rating it gets on IMDb is as a 6.7, and I believe Hot Shots Part 2, I think it gets a lower rating, which I disagree with. It gets a 2 point lower rating than the first Hot Shots. The first Hot Shots, I laughed more at like stuff like when they're saying like the call signs, So where you have Jim Washout back, and he's all like, Alpha Velveeta Knuckle Underwear, you were cleared for takeoff, and when you hit the nuclear weapons plant, drop a bomb for me. Sphincter Mucus Niner Ringworm, Roger. I mean, that kind of stuff was pretty funny. I crack up when Pete Dead Meat Thompson, he ends up, his plane messes up, he ejects, and then he ends up, he gets hit by an ambulance, and he's like, Wendy, I can fly! And then, of course, it smacks through a bunch of other stuff. There's more of the whole call signs. Yankee Doodle floppy disk. This is Foxtrot Zulu milkshake. Checking in at 700 feet. Request permission to land. Roger that. Foxtrot Zulu milkshake. You are cleared to land. Welcome to the Mediterranean. Wash out. Is that you? You bet. They put me in charge. You bet. They put me in charge of radar. From now on, I'll be your eyes on the ground. So I had fun with that, and there's so like at the end of the film when the reporters are asking Harley, Charlie Sheen, it's like, hey, Dr. Harley, now you killed the bad guy and made the world safe for democracy. What are you gonna do to cash in on your newfound fame? I'm going to Disneyland. There's a total reference to the Super Bowl. Like at the end of every Super Bowl broadcast, reporters ask the MVP or the Super Bowl MVP or the quarterback, which usually is the MVP most of the time. They ask the quarterback, like, what are you going to do, after you win the Super Bowl? And most of the time they say, I'm going to Disneyland. And so that's a reference to that. Now, Hot Shots is a film directed by Jim Abrams, and it's written by Jim Abrams and Pat Proft. It stars Charlie Sheen as Lieutenant Sean Topper Harley, who's basically Tom Cruise's character in Top Gun. This is pretty much a spoof of Top Gun. That's from the creator of Airplane and Top Secret and so forth. And Cary Elwes plays Lieutenant Kent Gregory, who's pretty much this film's Iceman, Val Kilmer's character. Valeria Golino plays Ramada Thompson, who's the love interest, who pretty much plays the film's version of Kelly McGillis. Lloyd Bridges plays RADM Thomas Tug Benson, who I don't really know who he's supposed to be for the first film, but he's hilarious. Lloyd Bridges had some of the funniest lines in the film. Kevin Dunn is in this as LCDR James Block. Jon Cryer has a bit roles as Washout. Lieutenant Jim Washout Paffenbach. I like Jon Cryer. He was fun in this. William O'Leary, which is funny. William O'Leary plays Lieutenant Pete Dead Meat Thompson. And what's funny is the same year, William O'Leary was in a more serious role in Flight of the Black Angel, which I think is a better film than Hot Shots. But it's funny because it was like he plays a very serious role of a mentally imbalanced fighter pilot. And in the same year, he plays Dead Meat Thompson in Hot Shots. Kristy Swanson also has a bit part as Kowalski. And you have a few other, cameos. You have cameos of like Charles Barkley as himself and Bill Laimbeer. They end up actually experiencing their first. They don't really experience their first something. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But what I meant to say is they actually reenact their fight. On the court. They finish their fight on the court that they had in a basketball game around the same time. Part of the film that I think doesn't really hold up too well is it's a movie that some of the jokes are dated. They're definitely dated because this is a film that was trying to cash in on what was funny and what was popular and what was, recognizable in 1991. And some of the stuff that doesn't really, like the whole Bill Laimbeer and Charles Barkley starting fighting out of nowhere. You're like, okay, I don't understand. It's Bill Laimbeer and Charles Barkley are fighting, but it's not really anything that's really super funny. I thought it was honestly, it was fun for one watch. It was entertaining. But it's a movie that it's a harmless bit of entertainment. But for me personally, it just doesn't have a lot of rewatchability factor for me. I'd rather watch Top Gun rather than Hot Shots, or I'd rather watch Hot Shots Part 2. I think this isn't nearly as funny as a sequel. Um, Although critics really enjoyed it when it came out, and it was a huge hit. It made $181 million worldwide. So Ryan Stiles also has a little bit role as Dominic the Mailman Farnham, which I had fun with seeing Ryan Stiles before he did Whose Line Is It Anyway, being in a little bit role in this movie. And pretty much the film, it's a lot like the plot of Top Gun. The film begins at Flemmer Air Base 20 years prior. A pilot named Leland Buzz Harley, played by Bill Irwin, loses control of his plane and ejects, leaving his co-pilot Dominic Mailman Farnham, played by Ryan Stiles, to crash alone. Although Mailman survives, he's mistaken for a deer owing to the branches stuck to his helmet and is shot by a hunter, which is the tragic way how Topper's dad dies, which is pretty absurd, and after the minute I did chuckle at that. Topper Harley, played by Charlie Sheen, wakes up from a nightmare he's having about the event when Lieutenant Commander Block, played by Kevin Dunn, asks him to return to active duty as a pilot in the U.S. Navy to help on a new top-secret mission, Operation Sleepy Weasel. Harley starts to show some psychological problems, especially when his father is mentioned. His therapist, Ramada, played by Valeria Golino, who's fucking smoking hot in this, tries to keep Topper from flying, but she relents and also starts to build a budding romance with Topper. Meanwhile, Topper gets into a rivalry with another fighter pilot, played by Kent Gregory. No, his character's name is Kent Gregory. It's played by Cary Elwes. And forgive me for my flubs. I'm definitely, I apologize. Who hates Topper because of the loss of his father Mailman to Buzz Harley, and he believes Topper may do the same to him. And Charlie Sheen and Cary Elwes have some good chemistry together. The whole thing where they one-up each other, that was pretty funny in one scene. Meanwhile, Block starts privately meeting with the airplane tycoon Mr. Wilson, who has recently built a new superfighter that will make American pilots superior. Block reveals that he has brought back Topper for the reason of making Sleepy Weasel fail. Block would then report that it was the Navy's planes that were the real reason for the mission failure, and that they need to be replaced with Wilson's planes. During one of the last training missions, an unfortunate accident between Pete Dead Meat Thompson, William O'Leary, and Jim Washout Paffenbach, Jon Cryer occurs, leaving Dead Meat dead and Washout reassigned to radar operator. Dead Meat, he dies in like his plane crashes, his plane gets fucked up, and he ejects. He parachutes down on the ground. His parachute gets caught up, and he gets drug around on the ground, and then when he gets put into the ambulance, he gets smacked. His head gets smacked in the ambulance door, and then when he gets to the hospital, he was like, "Oh, the hospital! Thank God, nothing bad can happen here." And then he just starts slamming his head through every door in the hospital head first, just bam, bam. There's even like one of the doctors is like checking him. He's asking the nurses like to check his dick to see if it's longer than mine. So I had fun with that. I also enjoy the little romantic sex scenes between the sex scenes between Valeria Golino and Charlie Sheen. They're just so over the top. He he scrambles he fries an egg on her stomach. That kind of crazy stuff. Um, and you have I guess Valeria Golino claims the scene in which she catches an olive popped out of her belly button was accomplished without trick photography, which I could buy that. And I guess Lloyd Bridges replaced George C. Scott as as Admiral Benson, which is pretty interesting. George C. Scott actually originally was going to do this, and then that doesn't seem like the type of role that I could see George C. Scott really doing, to be honest. And there's a part of the film that like during a lot of that, I like the music that they use. Dream Lover is a song that pretty much, instead of the song, from Top Gun, where the song is You've Lost That Loving Feeling. Here it's Dream Lover, call my name. Da 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 da. 'Cause I need love, call my own. I wanna dream lover, so I don't have to dream alone. So I like that song. That's a good song. And then there's some fun songs too. Like Valeria Golino actually performs an actual song called "The Man I Love." You have the MC Hammer song, "We Can't Touch This," and has a moment in the film. You have Burt Bacharach's "What the World Needs Now Is Love," the Brady Bunch theme. So there's some funny kind of stuff like that, and the end credits are really funny because it's just they're all these really dumb, you know, uh, dumb characters like the Darling Milkman, who put the Precious Paperboy, the Secret of the Crying Game. She's a guy. They have all these recipes for food, like topping for brownies, half a cup of butter, 3 squares butter chocolate, melted 2.5 cups of confectioner's sugar, 1 or 2 teaspoons cinnamon optional, two egg yolks, beaten cream butter until light lemon colored. Gradually add sugar and egg yolks and add chocolate. They have the knobby buns, which are 4 cups of sifted flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 cup butter, 3 eggs, cream butter until well softened, and add the sugar and eggs. Mix quickly with flour. Drop mixture from a teaspoon in small jagged heaps onto a cookie sheet and bake at 375 to 400 degrees oven. Things to do after the movie. Start a story hour at the local library. Help someone learn to read. Teach someone to use a computer. Help someone learn to speak a new language. Organize a physical fitness program. Visit a dairy and see how milk is handled and prepared for delivery. So that's the kind of, sort of funny stuff that you have in this film. It's one of those films that the humor is very dumb. It's very, very dumb humor. But there's a place for that. But I'd probably say I'd rather watch something like Kung Pao or Undercover Brother over Hot Shots. It has its moments though. I don't hate the film, but I don't really like it. So it's one of those in middle ground movies. Um, but anyway, so go back to the plot. But Dead Meat dies. Washout gets reassigned to radar operator. Block believes that this is enough to convince the Navy to buy new fighters, but Wilson brushes it aside as a minor incident, and the planes need to fail in combat to take notice. And going back to the whole after Dead Meat dies, there's a funeral, which I thought was pretty funny actually. It's the Lloyd Bridges really I can't really do this justice, but he does a really good job with this line. Great deadpan. He's like, Pete Dead Meat Thompson is dead. So is Mo Green, Tacaglia, Barzini, the heads of all 5 families. It is at moments like these, my dear friends, that we must ask ourselves, how can this not be a part of some larger plan? Do good men like Dead Meat Thompson just blink out one day like a bat bulb? I mean, one minute you're in bed with a knockout gal, or guy, and next, you're a compost heap. Doesn't that bother any of you? Because it scares the living piss out of me. It's just how he just goes to that absurd, length, like at a funeral. And then there's like, he thinks that, after the firing squad goes off, they're shooting off the rifles, in honor of Dead Meat Thompson. Lloyd Bridges thinks that he's being attacked. I always thought that was pretty funny too. He thinks he's being attacked, so then he's, Lloyd Bridges was great in this. I have to admit, Lloyd Bridges was really good. Charlie Sheen had his moments, but I thought he had more moments in the second film. And but anyway, so Topper starts to show more and more feelings for Ramada, but he is also smitten with Gregory. Believes that Topper cannot handle combat pressure on the carrier USS Essex. Block reveals that the mission is to be an attack of an Iraqi nuclear plant, and assigns Topper to lead the mission. Much to Gregory's chagrin, and meanwhile Wilson, who's on board, coerces a crew member to sabotage the planes, putting the pilots' lives at risk. And at first, the mission goes according to Block's plan. He mentions Buzz Harley to Topper, becomes overcome with emotion, and is unable to lead the mission. Block just starts to call out for the mission to be aborted when the Iraqi fighters attack the squadron. All the plane's weapons fail, and Block realizes that has happened, and he then tells Topper what he saw, what really happened with Buzz and the Mailman. And Buzz tried to do everything possible to save Mailman, but ended up falling on the plane, failing his attempts. And inspired, Topper single-handedly beats the Iraqi fighters and bombs the nuclear plant, and actually drops a bomb off on top of Saddam Hussein, despite sustaining heavy damage. And he lands the plane with no wings, just crashes right onto the tarmac. And so back aboard the ship, Block decides the American planes will always be superior with pilots like Topper and German parts. And Wilson's plan is revealed, and his standing with the military is lost. Back in port, Gregory accepts Topper as a great pilot, and lets Romana be with Topper as the two begin a loving new relationship. And I think the film ends with the song Dream Lover. So pretty much, I mean, there's a lot of quotes that are available on IMDb, but a lot of them I don't really find them to be super really, really funny. I mean, some of them are enjoyable. Other ones I'm just like, I just think it's kind of stupid. Lines like, those are some long legs. Just had them lengthened. Now they go all the way up. Or, other ones I can get into, like, Topper's talking about, like, his father. He's like, my father used to say that not playing to win is like sleeping with your sister. Sure, she's a great piece of tail, the blouse full of goodies, but it's just illegal. Then you get into the whole inbred thing. Kids with no teeth who do nothing but play the banjo. Eat applesauce through a straw. Pork farm animals. Charlie Sheen had a good deadpan in this. And of course the crazy stuff with Admiral Benson and Lloyd Bridges is like, I slipped on a crab. Who put that crab there? I don't see any crabs, sir. Don't tell me. There were 2 crabs. They work in pairs. I went to Annapolis, for Christ's sakes. It's really dumb lines of dialogue, but Lloyd Bridges makes them funny because he's just so straight with it. He plays it so straight. But anyway, the film itself, it is what it is. It's a film that I think there's a better, Loaded Weapon, National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 is a better comedy than this. And that gets a lot lower rating and didn't get near as much critical acclaim. And I think it's a lot funnier than Hot Shots. National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 with Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson. This is okay. It's there. I could watch it, but I don't think it's the mother of all movies. I guess that's the point. But it's not much of a review because it's a comedy, and comedies like this, they're like gag a minute, just a bunch of jokes, one after another. A spoof comedy, they're usually hit or miss anyway. And I thought Hot Shots there's a lot of missed shots in Hot Shots in terms of the humor for me. Just thought it was groan-inducing or just bad puns and just kind of stupid. But, the sight gags, some of them were funny. Other ones I just didn't really think I thought they were dumb. But some of them were pretty clever. But other ones are just, not so much. Not for me. And the whole gag where Topper is living in an Indian reservation with some Indian guy, I didn't really care for. I just thought it was just stupid. So there's a lot of moments in this movie I'm just like, that's just dumb. But anyway, I really don't know what to say about Hot Shots. It's a rate out of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 3. I think it's an okay comedy. I don't think it's really that great. And I'm the minority because a lot of people really like Hot Shots, and I'm not the biggest fan of this film. I think if you want to watch a better film that deals with this kind of military sort of humor, check out Down Periscope. I thought that was funnier. That was a lot funnier than Hot Shots with Kelsey Grammer. Or like I said, you want to see an action parody, a parody of an action movie, watch National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Or if you want, or watch Hot Shots Part 2. That's actually the better one. Watch Hot Shots Part 2. Watch that, because I think that's actually genuinely hilarious and actually really clever with its humor. When it actually has some funny bits of satire that I don't really remember anything that's satirical at all about Hot Shots. But anyway, I really don't know what to say about Hot Shots except thank you for watching my review, and I will see you guys later. See ya. Oh, actually, before I go, might as well, since it's the end of the review, I might as well talk about one more little bit from the end credits. At the end credits, just before any similarity, etc., etc., it says in text, it says, if you had left this theater when the credits began, you'd be home now. So, go home, or if you're already home, good. Alright. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that was actually pretty funny. The end credits is pretty funny. The sight gags, some of the sight gags work, but overall it's just okay for me. It's not a movie I really have any desire to watch again. But anyway, thank you for watching my review of Hot Shots, and I will see you later. I mean it this time. See ya.